Game on the line. Williams lofting one for a deuce. He caught
it! You're listening to the world's #1 football podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen, Matt Hartman, and Ryan Matthews.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Pigskin Project. As you heard in the intro, I am Matt Hartman, joined with Ben Hansen. We're down a man today. We're down Ryan, but he's all good. He's doing some fun stuff out in the real world today. But let's swing it over to Ben. Ben, how have you been since the last time we saw you?
Oh, very good. Feeling a little sick here today, but how could I not be just feeling on top of the world after that beautiful, beautiful comeback that I just witnessed on Sunday? It was fantastic. But again, a little sniffle, but we must go on. Matt, how you feeling?
I'm doing good. Everything came up Ben this weekend in terms of football.
You're darn right.
All right. You saw the Eagles come back. You saw the smearing, your word, of IU and Illinois, and then Michigan. Bryce Underwood was the better quarterback on the field. So everything came up Ben this weekend, is what I'll say.
And the black jerseys are back. I know this is a football podcast, but Sixers black jerseys are back.
That is, yeah. Yeah.
I had to.
That is valid. All right, so let's swing it right into the show because we got a ton to talk about. Let's talk about the injury report before we get into anything else. CeeDee Lamb, high ankle sprain, which seems like best case scenario at this point with the way that it, you talked about it, the still shot. Like I went back and saw that. It was like, man, from the moment that like he was able to walk on it and put weight, I knew it wasn't broken, but this was, the best case scenario at the point, high ankle sprain, not going to go to IR. It's one of those injuries that he'll feel fine in 2 weeks until you try and make one cut. So we'll see how long that lasts, but we know he is out for the next 2 weeks at least. James Conner, he is out for the season with an ankle injury. Najee Harris is out for the season with a torn Achilles, so running back depth getting hit hard by some playoff hopeful teams. Kenny Moore, Colts defensive back, he is going to miss a few weeks with a calf injury. Mike Evans had a low-grade hamstring injury earlier in the week. It got upgraded to, 3 to 4 week injury. There were some people saying he would just miss this week, now saying 3 to 4 weeks. So we'll keep an eye on how that goes. Hamstring injuries are always tricky because they are all like it's how do you feel injuries, and for receivers, it's the worst. Tyrone Tracy has a shoulder injury, and he is expected to miss some time. DeJuan Jones, Browns offensive tackle, he is out for the season with a knee injury. Colston Loveland, his hip injury that he left the Cowboys game and did not return with does not seem to be a major injury. He could play this week. JT Sanders, Panthers tight end, has a high ankle sprain, and he's going to be out for a few weeks. And then 2 news points today. Nolan Smith, the Eagles edge rusher, he is placed on IR with the hope that he comes back for the Week 10 Monday Night Football game against Green Bay. He re-aggravated a triceps injury that he had surgery on in the offseason after the Super Bowl. And then lastly, Chris Godwin and Xavier Worthy both practiced in full today. Those are important because that is how we swing into the games of the week. But before we hit on that, there's some pieces of news that we need to hit on. We'll keep the injuries. Nick Bosa out for the season for the San Francisco 49ers with a torn ACL. Ben, what were your immediate thoughts when you heard that this was the case after it kind of got downplayed during the game?
Yeah, during the game, you didn't expect it to be like this crazy thing based off the way they were talking about it. But man, does that injury luck for the Niners just keep rolling on? Mm-hmm. Like you go into this new season and you think, okay, last season was just a fluke. We had a whole bunch of injuries. We'll bounce back this year. And now it's starting to pile up on them again. And it just seems like this team cannot catch a break. obviously a huge piece now gone from the roster. One of the best edge rushers. If this is all it is for the Niners for the rest of the season, I think they'll be all right. But it never is. We're going into week 4. There will be more injuries for every single team. It's just going to be a matter of is this just going to be a repeat of last year for the Niners, which it's looking like so far, or can they kind of get a hold of injuries and see if their training staff can actually step in and try to prevent some of this stuff? So
Yeah, the way that they rebuilt this defense specifically over the course of the offseason was to formulate it around Warner and Bosa. You were able to draft Michael Williams and Alfred Collins and CJ West and Marquis Siegel and Upton Stout and all expect those guys to play right away because you have 2 force multipliers on the defensive end at edge rusher and middle linebacker, 2 of the most important parts of your defense. And so to see one of those guys go down, especially a pass rusher, this takes away like a Super Bowl ceiling to me. Like because now like it's fun when Bryce Huff is like your 3rd edge rusher. Now he's like their number 1 edge rusher at this point. Like I think there was hope that Williams would take a stride, and he left and came back into the game against the Cardinals, so he should be good to go. But yeah, I mean they don't have really any interior pass rushers as of the moment. Like they're kind of banking on the athletes, and you could do that when Bosa's healthy. Now Nick Bosa is not going to be around. Let's get into the second part of major news. There's a quarterback switch. The Giants are starting Jackson Dart week 4 against this. I almost said San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to start. I think this is malpractice. If you've been around the channel, you know my thoughts on Jackson Dart. I think he was a day 3 prospect, and you took him at 25. I think everything in the classroom needed to get better. He needed to get mentally quicker. He needed to rework everything from the college level because of the Ole Miss scheme and the half-field stuff and the Lane Kiffin of it all. Like, watch this guy get open kind of, mentality, even in the SEC. I just never thought there was a chance this guy would be ready to play in the NFL this year, and now he's being expected to play in September. And my immediate thought, I don't know if you shared the same, isn't this the reason that you also signed Jameis Winston? That if the Russ experiment went wrong, you could then turn to Jameis Winston to go against a Jesse Minter defense that predicates on like being ambitious and aggressive downfield. Like, isn't that the whole point of, bringing in a Jameis Winston to not just be an emergency 3rd quarterback? I understand what this is. This is the owner putting pressure on Brian Dable and Joe Shane to start the rookie quarterback that they took in the 1st round, an Ole Miss rookie quarterback, shades of Eli Manning. I just think it's malpractice. I think this is a bad idea. I think this could go horribly, horribly wrong. But what were your thoughts when you saw this news?
No, I mean, you had said it. The first thing that came to mind was like, if you decided 3 weeks into the season that this Russ stuff is going south, as you said, why are we putting in Jackson Dart? Again, that was the whole reason that you went out and signed Jameis Winston in the first place. And I mean, if you're not going to trade Jameis Winston, or if you're not going to play Jameis Winston, at least trade him. I mean, there are plenty of other teams around the league that are actively looking for quarterbacks because everyone is hurt. It just doesn't make much sense to me. Again, as you said, that mental stuff within his game was just not there. And do we really think within the first 3 weeks he has taken these giant strides and leaps? No. Again, I think there's something to trial by fire and just throw him in, see what you got, see if maybe he is the future over the next 13 games. And maybe that's kind of the idea, is that like, well, we know it's not going to be Russ, so let's see if he's going to be the guy to see if we need to go out and spend a draft pick or if we're going to be all right with that. And I think that's probably the rationale behind it, a very flawed one, But that's the only thing in my mind that makes sense as to why they would even possibly begin to think that this was a good idea.
Yeah, I just there's no way this goes well. Like that's not even like computing in my head. I know he played good in
No.
preseason, guys, but the preseason was just all like Ole Miss offense. It was it was all the half field stuff. It was all reading corner leverage and you throw the fade, like things like that that I saw on his Ole Miss tape that I was like, yeah, like he can stand in the pocket and he could deliver some throws, but there's no like left to right to like go. It's left. And that's it. And so
Yeah.
I'm just interested to see how it goes against specifically one of the more respected defensive minds in Jesse Minter. And one last point that I just remembered: Chelsea Gardner-Johnson cut by the Texans
Yes.
after they traded for him in I believe March. Yeah, I mean Jimmy Ward is reactivated this week after suspension, so I think that gave them some leeway to do that. I know they took some safeties in the draft, so but this seemed to be
A
a
lot of personal stuff behind the doors. I guess he was like screaming at like rookies for not like helping like put weights in the weight room. He was upset
yeah
with his role. He wanted to blitz more. Um, it's kind of the Stefan Diggs of it all. Like you know what you were getting with him when you signed him with how he was as a person. And sorry to cut you off, but you knew what you were getting with him when you were signing him. And sometimes his greatest strength is his greatest weakness. Some teams are able to handle kind of who he is, and some teams are not. And it seems like the
yeah.
Texans just weren't able to deal with um kind of the craziness that is Chauncey Gardner Johnson. And I mean, if anyone knows that, it's me and you of all people.
It's also one of those things that you think about, like he's never been around like a losing program this early into a campaign. So I feel like that is also one of those things that is bogging on him. That it's like
Mhm.
they are 0-3, and I don't think he is one of those personalities that is charging up everybody else when you're 0-3. I feel like it just becomes a blame pie situation, like
Yeah.
pointing at everybody, and that seems to be the case. So that's all the major news points that I wanted to hit on before we got into the games of the week.
Really
Let's flip it.
quickly,
Yep.
there was one more injury that had gotten left off. Another Cowboys player with a high ankle sprain. Tyler Booker, the guard that they had
Yeah.
selected in the first
Yep.
round, will miss 4 to 6 weeks as well with a high ankle sprain. Something to just keep an eye out. That offensive line depth isn't particularly great for the Cowboys this year, so we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah. I mean, they're already sliding guys over with the Cooper Beebe injury. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, they're definitely begging for some interior help. But let's get into the games of the week. Obviously, we always start with Thursday Night Football this week and next week, actually. NFC West showdowns. This is the only division in football where every team is over 500 after 3 games. 3 out of the 4 teams have played the Saints so far, so that helps. That helps your record. Seattle's secondary looks to be almost fully back. Julian Love practiced in full. He has no injury designation. Devin Witherspoon, same thing. Nick Emanwari is still out. And then for Arizona, they are going to be without Will Johnson. Both of these defenses are top 13 in total EPA this season. And they are fine to average and drop back EPA, but they're both top 10 in rushing EPA. And then Arizona, again, like last year, very bad success rate defense. Like bottom 10 in both drop back and rushing success rate, but their EPA numbers are good, splash plays. And then the offenses, they're both top 10 passing offenses, but both bottom 10 rush offenses. So it's very ironic how like similar these two teams are being in the same division and having the line that it is. for Thursday night football. But Ben, what do you have on this game?
No, I mean the two big things both end up lying on the Cardinal side of this game. It's something that I had said through the first 3 weeks, every single week for the Cardinals is Kyler Murray. How does he withstand a good defense? Because it's been a consistent issue over the course of the first 3 weeks. Is he looks fine, but then as the game goes on, he kind of fizzles out and isn't really able to get anything done. And kind of as you pointed out, it's not going to get any easier playing the Seahawks. This isn't the Panthers. This isn't the Saints that you're playing. And if you look bad against them, how are you going to look against the Seahawks? And then the other thing is also on that Cardinals offense. Not so much analysis here, but I'm just interested to see how Trey Benson does stepping into this role. It seemed like over the course of the 17 weeks, they were going to try to slowly make that transition from James Conner over to Trey Benson. This James Conner injury obviously threw a very big wrench into that. And they're like, okay, well, so much for the slow transition. Trey Benson, go get him. So I'm just interested to see if the offense changes a whole lot now that it's just Trey Benson and kind of what his snap count looks like, and to see if they need to go out and trade for, a backup running back, or if they feel comfortable sticking with Trey Benson for the entirety of the season.
Yeah, like you mentioned it. He was already getting the pass game work, which is pretty obvious with James Conner. James Conner has never really been a prolific pass game back. He's a good pass protector, but I think that's an excellent point. I bet they'll bring up some guys here and there. They'll cycle in, like Amari DiMercado was, activated. So he'll be a guy who kind of shares the touches, but it is interesting to see what a Trey Benson role looks like. Before we move on, matchup of the week, Jackson Smith-Njigba versus whoever he goes against, because it's not going to be Will Johnson. JSN at this point is now no longer is he a slot merchant. He is an outside receiver, 79% snap rate on the outside, and he is likely going to fare against Max Melton, who's, fine, but JSN is proving this year, like, he's one of the guys. Like, we always talk about, like, it's Jefferson and Chase at that, like, top tier, and then, like, CD is kind of, like, really close to that tier. And then after that, there's, like, 6-7 guys you could really put in that category. And I'm, like, firmly putting Jackson Smith-Njigba in that category this year. Him and Puka Nacua lead all of football with 6 explosive plays in the pass game. So he's averaging 2 20-plus yard receptions a game. Pretty crazy. He has a 42.6% target rate already this season, which is crazy. And I'm just interested to see how Gannon deploys his secondary without his, number one sticky man coverage corner against one of, like, the guys at the position. So it'll be interesting to see. Anything else on this game before we move on?
No, I think you touched on it.
All right. Let's move on to every week we have to talk about your birds, brother. Because they're always in games that are just, like, these are high-tier matchups. This is the only 3-0 versus 3-0 matchup of the weekend. And Eagles will face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay at 1 o'clock on week 4 until the end of time. I think this is the 3rd time in a row that this is a matchup.
Yes.
It's insane. They've played twice in the playoffs, too. This is nuts. The last 2 matchups featuring Hurts versus Baker Mayfield. Mayfield finished with a top 80th percentile EPA in both of those games, where Hurts finished with a bottom 3rd percentile, 28th in the playoff game and 22nd in the game last season. Of course, the caveat of last year's game, missing both Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, and then the playoff game, he played with that, I believe, like the sprained MCL, something like that, in his knee. So that really hindered what he was able to do. But what are you looking at from this matchup?
I mean, my key matchup more than anything is Jalen Hurts versus the Blitz. And can
Mhm.
they handle whatever the heck Todd Bowles throws at them? Because Todd Bowles is Jalen Hurts' kryptonite. It is ridiculous. Like, it doesn't matter how good Jalen Hurts is playing going into a Buccaneers game. He always just seems to get the best of Jalen Hurts. We saw Jalen Hurts take that kind of step up in the passing game in the second half of that Rams Eagles games. And if it was anyone else, I'd be super excited. I would be like, yes, we figured it out. This is gonna roll. But and now we're playing the Bucks, and it's surely to bounce back to what it was prior because Todd Bowles just has Jalen Hurts' number. Um, that being said, I think the most interesting thing about this game is whether or not Tristan Wirfs is going to play. He was limited participant this week. I mean, so was Baker, but I'm not super worried about Baker.
Mhm.
But it's Tristan Wirfs. I mean, the Eagles' defensive line has not looked stellar as is, and then you add in the Nolan Smith injury. So I think they're going to struggle to get pressure on Baker, and then you add in the fact that one of the best tackles, if not the best tackle in all of football, might be returning in this game. So it's just going to be interesting to see, if he's going to play. Because if he's going to play, I think they're going to struggle immensely in this game. So
Yeah, I'm looking here. Both Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell did not
yes,
participate today, but I wanted to
correct.
see Mr. Lane Johnson's participation, which he was
Limited.
limited. So
Yep. He'll
that
play.
is that is a good thing. Also, Adoree Jackson did not practice. They also placed Ja'Cory and Bennett on IR. So that
Chili
back
Ringo.
seven, that back seven is a little bit tested,
Hey,
and
Andrew
Godwin
Andrew
coming back.
Makuba time, baby. Andrew
Oh,
Makuba
it's
time.
been
He's gonna
Makuba
lock it
time,
down.
buddy.
Yeah,
It's
it
been
has.
Makuba time. But into the neck of the statistics, the Bucks continue to be very dynamic through the air. They're a top 5 dropback EPA. It doesn't matter who the play caller is. Baker rips it downfield at an impressive rate, but they're bottom 10 in success rate and EPA in the rush category, where last week we talked about it. The Eagles haven't changed too much, even with their second half dominance in the past game. They're still a pretty average offense with top 5 rushing offense. The Bucks defense, you cannot run on this team, which is it's interesting for this game because they're number 1 in rush EPA and they're number 2 in success rate, and then both defenses ranked towards the middle in dropback EPA, but the Eagles' success rate much better than the Buccaneers. And that makes sense because Bowles is a much more aggressive play caller where Vic Fangio is you need to pick us apart kind of thing like that. So my matchup of the week is Desmond Watson against the Tush Push. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, AJ Brown versus the boundary corner. Because we saw firsthand the trump card that AJ Brown is against some of these smaller cornerbacks on the outside. He was able to take over a half of football against a good defense after 5 halves of invisible football, literally invisible football from one of the best
hmm
players in our sport. I'm just interested to see how they kind of lean into the play calling. I said it last week, like, I don't know how you don't have like 2 or 3 shots just lined up for this guy. The minute you get like cover 3, just throw it. Just like let's call something downfield for him. Like give some audibles in the huddle, things like that. I just how do they lean into it, and this kind of points to your like if Bulls is going to be aggressive, you're going to leave your corners on islands against these receivers. I just wonder how he kind of fares in that category. So pretty fun matchup once again, as it always has been. Let's move on to the big one in the Sunday afternoon slate. The Ravens travel to Kansas City to face the Chiefs. Well, somebody's got to start 1-3. So interested to see how that works out. This is a rematch of last year's Week 1 matchup, so it's been a long time since these two teams have played. And Mahomes, for the first time in his career, is an underdog at home in the first two matchups of the season. Any metric you look at outside of eye test, the Chiefs through 3 weeks are still a top 15 offense. Baltimore is similar in the pass game, kind of in the, what was it? What they were last week when I talked about with them with the Lions, kind of in that top 7 category. But the rush offense with Lamar and Derrick Henry is lackluster in the nicest of ways. They're 12th in EPA, that's with the fumbles, and 19th in success rate. So that is it's a big problem. But you get into the defenses. Both of these teams have a pretty average pass defense, and they both rank in the bottom 4 in both rush EPA and rushing success rate, with Kansas City at 29th in both and Baltimore at 31st in EPA and 32nd in success rate. They're still missing Nnamdi Madubuike. Travis Jones is out there, but it seems without his running mate, they are not stopping the run well. This is a Chiefs run game that had some success against the Giants, who have, Dexter Lawrence, and Darius Alexander played a really good game. So interested to see how the run game goes, specifically for the Chiefs side. But what do you have on this end?
No, I mean, my matchup of the week is Derrick Henry versus holding on to the football. I mean, this has been like an issue. I mean, I had kind of half-heartedly, joking, had brought up the fumble worrying with Derrick Henry through the first 2 weeks of the season, and then he fumbled maybe at the worst possible time for the Ravens. Again, I still don't think it is something to be super worried about. But now it's even more concerning than what it was before. But on to the actual game. This Ravens defense, man, it's concerning me just a little bit. I mean, this is kind of how it had opened up with them going into the last season. They had started out really slow. Zach Orr had finally put pieces together, and we're like, okay, this Ravens defense is one of the best defenses in all of football when stuff is getting put together and they're working, like firing on all cylinders. But now we're right back to what it is. And Zach Orr, you don't really have an excuse this time. You have time under your belt. We've seen this defense play good, and you have all of the players around you to have a flourishing defense. And now it's looking bad again. I'm wondering if this can be a get-right game for them, because as you've said, they're still trying to figure out this passing offense. Worthy is coming back. But this should not be a running offense that you should, be worried about, especially compared to last week. This is a major step down. Now, can we see you take that step up? So I'm just interested to see kind of the defensive matchup from both teams going into this game.
Yeah, I also had Henry as my matchup because he needs to take over this game. And so, like, this could be a game where you look at the Chiefs' metrics that, like, he should be able to have a monster game. And he didn't have one last year. And, obviously it was the first game of the season, so you kind of have that. They were trailing most of the game, so they were in drop-back situations a lot. But, yeah, this sets up to be a spot where he could really take over. And you mentioned it, like, it's weird to point at Derrick Henry and say, like, the 2 losses can be traced back to mistakes you made. And, like, the first half of week 1 against the Bills, like, I was seeing stuff on my timeline where it's like, is this the greatest peak of a running back ever? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it giveth and taketh. But for the fumble thing, I think it's overblown. I think it's the yips. I think sometimes you get into that mode. I think every time it's asked, just be like, Derek's fine. Just nobody talk about it. Don't do any, like, you got to hold the ball and things like that. And this is the way to carry it, and stop carrying it so far out of your chest. It's viable to be punched out. I think Derrick Henry just needs to see, 20 carries go through where it's no fumble, and then it's out of mind. So that's kind of my take. Maybe it's a little, maybe I'm too careless.
I think you're correct.
But I think that's the way to handle it, someone who is as dynamic as Derrick Henry is. Let's get into the final matchup of the week. Sunday Night Football. the Packers travel to the Cowboys. Is there any storyline that matters in this game? Oh, yeah, Micah Parsons returning to Dallas for the first time since the blockbuster trade that happened literally less than a month ago. Think about that. Like, I feel like
That's
he's been a
crazy.
Packer my entire life now after watching this defense play for a few weeks. These are two very high-powered offenses through 3 weeks, but they're both missing their top-tier wideouts. I know Jaden Reed is a step down from CeeDee Lamb, but I've talked about it. Jaden Reed does a lot for this offense that people, from a side-to-side perspective and an every down motion perspective, that a lot of, there's a lot put on his plate in the little stuff that I think go unnoticed outside of receiving yards. My matchup, I'll get right into it and then swing it over to you. The Packers offense versus the Cowboys defense. I think the Packers defense versus Cowboys O is going to be a fun matchup, and I think it's going to be back and forth. I think Dak is going to get rid of the ball quickly. I think they're going to be able to move the ball. I think they can run the ball on this defense just by sheer, their success rate through 3 weeks has been the number one. So until it's proven otherwise, I think Dallas can run the ball this year. I think Clayton Adams has done a really good job scheming up stuff like that. So I think they can find a way to run the ball. Maybe, I know Detroit couldn't. But my matchup, talking about the Packers offense versus the Cowboys defense, how in the hell does Dallas get stops, man? I just don't see how this team stops this offense. What Cleveland could do to Green Bay was they have so much overwhelming defensive line talent, and they have sticky man cover corners behind it. So they can dominate the line of scrimmage, and you're getting into 2nd and 8s, and then you're getting into 3rd and 5s, and then you just play tough man coverage, and you force some mistakes with Love. Like that slant route that he threw, like Grant Delpit reads that perfectly. Like it's man, and he's kind of a rover safety, but he's playing in like a cover 0 look, and he just bolts to Jordan's eyes and intercepts it. It turns the game around. Dallas doesn't do that. You know why? Because Matt Eberflus doesn't do that. Like he rushes 4 and he puts a lid on on the offense. Like I don't know how this is gonna work, man. I just keep thinking back to this. If I know this is not the way to look at it, but like if Caleb Williams could have that much success just throwing from the pocket and just having so much time, I just think the Packers are going to be able to have the same thing. I know Zach Tom is likely to be out this week, so that's another it's more switching along the offensive line that they have to make. But he was out against the Commanders, and they still had a ton of time, and they were still dominant through the air. So I'm just interested to see, what does Dallas do? Does Dallas change up anything? Does Eberflus get any throw some pressure stuff at him, at Love? Because that is what Love is, prone to, is when you throw some pressure stuff with man coverage behind him, sometimes these receivers don't get open, and he makes some ill-advised throws because of it. So that's really what you got to do. I don't know what he's going to do. I've been talking about this matchup too long. Ben, what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, I'm going to take the cherry pick the easy matchup here. For me, that's Micah Parsons versus that battered Cowboys offensive line, and more specifically the interior. I don't know what the exact stats are, but watching the Packers play, they haven't been super shy in terms of kicking Micah Parsons inside and letting him pass a pass rush against centers and guards. And again, as we kind of spoke in the earlier segments of the podcast, there's a lot of questions and a lot of injuries along the interior of that of that Cowboys offensive line. So it's just going to be interesting to see if Micah goes into this game with the FU mindset and said, I'm going to get 3 sacks against you, whether you like it or not. And that's kind of the matchup that I'm going to be looking at here. So.
Yep. Excellent. We needed to hit on that. But I was just too enthralled with the Packers offense, as you know I am. But that is all for games of the week. Let's swing it over to Pick'em. I believe. Let me find it, because Ryan sent us the records.
Ryan, right? Yes, I have them.
You have Ryan's picks, and then I'll find the records.
I have that. That So this past week, me and Matt had tied, going 11-5. So look at us, go Matt, go me.
Look at us.
And then Ryan went 8-8. So at least he's 500 and did not have a losing prediction. That brings the overall prediction thus far through the first 3 weeks of the season, with me leading 35-13, Matt in second place, 31-17,
35?
and yes, 35-13. I've been killing it, brother. And then Ryan at 27-21. He is hoping to have a bounce back week this week and hopefully claw himself back into this competition here.
Yeah, 8 games of separation in 3 weeks is kind of nuts.
I know.
I'm sitting. This is where I want to be, kind of in the middle. So, all right, awesome. We'll start obviously with the Thursday night football game. Seattle favored by 1.5 against the Cardinals. Ben, who you got?
No, I think it is very evidently clear based off of the way that I've been talking about the Cardinals as of recently, and more specific, their quarterback, that I am going with the Seahawks to win this game, and Ryan is as well.
Oh, we're all on Seattle. Yeah, I would take. I think Seattle's done a really, really good job to open the year. They had a weird, Niners game, but I think they look to be figuring out where the Cardinals are they're still in the training wheels of the offense mode. All right, and then we get into the next one. Almost threw this one on the games of the week just to talk about it, but Dublin. We got Vikings, Steelers, Carson Wentz, and Aaron Rodgers. Are you kidding me? Get up. All right. I've mastered the early games, all right? You gotta set, you gotta set like the DVR, and then you can get up at like a later time and you can speed through the commercials, you can speed through all that, you can speed through the halftime show. I mastered this a few years ago, and ever since then I've loved it. But I digress, talking about my TV watching methods. Vikings, I'm taking the Vikings.
Yes, I'm actually going to take the Steelers here. I do obviously like the Vikings, and I usually default to their defense. But at the end of the day, I think Carson Wentz is going to be forced to move the ball down the field, and yet to see that. Obviously, it's only been one game. But I am going to go with the Steelers here. But Ryan is tailing you and going the Vikings.
Yeah, like the thing about the Wentz game was he kind of sucked. Like, compared to his box score, like he made like 3 throws that I was like, oh, nice. But like he still held onto the ball and took like unnecessary sacks, which is what Wentz is gonna do. But that box score was very deceiving. I'll just say that. All right, let's move on. Let's do the big spreads of the week first. Saints Bills. Give me the Bills. It's just
no. Give
everybody
me the Bills
take
as
the Bills.
Well.
All right.
Yeah. Ryan said Bills by 1 million. By the way. So
I think we could cover 1 million.
I think you could cover. I think you could. Tough,
close.
But I think you guys could cover 1 million.
It could be close. Then we get into Browns traveling to Detroit against the Lions. Give me the Lions.
Yes, give me the Lions, Ryan, as well.
There was some interesting stats I heard about the Browns. Speaking from the Packers game, this is something that like a little betting tip. So, outside of I believe Kansas City and Baltimore, the Browns, since Stefanski got hired, have the 3rd best winning percentage in the AFC at home, where on the road they're like bottom 5. It's kind of weird. It makes sense because they've had truly bottom out seasons, but you think of like the Ravens Browns game last year where Jameis came on and they won that game. They win this game against the Packers. It's something to keep an eye on. But I'm taking the Lions. Then we get into the 0-3 battle, AFC South. Titans traveling to Houston. The old school Titans versus Houston matchup. Ben, who you got?
I really, really, really did want to take the Titans here, and it took everything in me to not take the Titans here. But that being said, I am taking the Texans just because of their defense, and I think their defense is gonna have Cam Ward in just absolute hell. And Ryan, I think, agrees with me for the same reason he's going the Texans. I would assume such.
Yeah, I had to take the Texans. I wanted to do a little bit like can't quit him. I can. I can quit Brian Callahan. I don't think that guy is fit to be an NFL head coach.
No, the wide receiver coach actually is taking over play calling for them now.
Yeah. So that's last resort stuff. All right, that's last
Yes.
resort. Like, oh God, I got to give up play calling. We'll see how that works. New play caller against Houston, like that's an under the radar storyline. Uh,
Yeah.
then we get into the Chargers traveling to MetLife, favored by
Chargers.
6.5. Uh, give me the Chargers, and I'm gonna take some alt unders on the Giants this week, like point totals.
Yes. No, as you should. No, yeah, we're me and Ryan again. We're right there with you against the Chargers. Even if it was Russ or Jameis, I would still be going with the Chargers. But they're playing against Jackson Fart in his first game. I I am feeling very confident about that one.
And now we get to the better games of the 1 o'clock slate. Panthers travel to New England. Give me the Patriots. New agenda. Hashtag Drake May. We're here. He's been great. Christian Gonzalez is gonna play, so that's gonna be fun. It seems
Yes.
Well, it seems like he's gonna play. He's getting reps ramped up. So Ted McMillan, sorry, Ted Aroa. I know he doesn't like being called
Ted.
that. T Mac is gonna go up against Gonzo, so that's fun.
No, yes. We are both also riding with the Patriots. That being said, I don't think it's like something to be super concerned about, but T Mac did pop up on the injury report today as a limited participant. Again, I don't think it's something to worry too much about, but that's just something sneakily to keep an eye out for, because my lord, if Ted is hurt, you're in for a long game.
Hunter Renfro season. Then we get into the premiere. No, we have one more. How could I forget? Commanders travel to Atlanta to face Michael Penix, two 2024 drafted quarterbacks. Raheem Morris came out this week and said, yeah, Kirk Cousins sucked last year and lost his job. Michael Penix hasn't done that yet. The first part he has done, but lost his job he has not done yet. So that was an interesting presser, to say
Yes.
the least. Seems like Daniels is ramping up to play. I think I'm going to say that.
Yes.
I hate this game. Come back to me. You go first.
No, I hate this game too. Me and Ryan have agreed on literally every single pick thus far, and we continue to agree on
No, he
it.
took Vikings.
Oh yeah, he took Vikings.
Yeah.
My bad. We are both going the Commanders. Michael Penix, he that guy sucks. So
All right. I'll take Atlanta just to fade. Just
okay,
because I think
smart.
I think Pick'em is right. I think Pick'em is right on this game. Penix has been good at home, which is one game compared to two games, but I'm going with that. All right, there's my analysis. Michael Penix, good at home. He was good against the Commanders too last year. All right, so we'll ride that. Then we get into the premier one that I was mentioning before. The Eagles 3.5 travel to Tampa Bay to face the 3-0 Bucks. Give me the Eagles. I think this team's just a wagon, man. I think they figure it out. I know this has been the boogeyman. But
Yes.
I continue to give me the Eagles until they give me a reason not to.
Hey, amen to that, brother. Come on. Would you expect anything different from me other than picking the Eagles? I know
Yes,
I didn't pick
after
them
last
last
week,
week. I know I didn't
yes,
pick them
I
last
would.
week. But I just come on. I can't quit. Give me the Eagles, Ryan as well.
All right, all right. Ooh, that's fun. I thought he was gonna certainly take the Bucks because of Baker.
Yes. Yes.
Then we get into the afternoon slate. We have 4 games. Oh, beautiful! You love 4 games for the multi-view. Don't know why I did the hands there, but Jaguars travel to San Francisco
Oh, I hate this
across
game.
the country matchup. I look at these things. I can't even lie. When you have to travel that far, I do think about these things, and that's why you give me the Niners. I think this is a long travel for the Jags, and Mac Jones revenge. Who knows? Which I don't know why he would have revenge for the Jags, but he played there last year. So let's create a
Mm-hmm.
revenge narrative for this one. Niners.
I'm God. I can't believe I'm doing this. I cannot believe I am taking Trevor Lawrence right now with how bad he has played. But I am going to take Trevor Lawrence. And I promise you guys, this is not a bit. Ryan is also taking the Jaguars here
Let's
too.
go, man.
Uh, yes, I just as we had talked about, Joey Bosa was a very very big part of this defense, and I think it's gonna hurt. And hey, some are saying this is the Brian Thomas redemption game. So
Ooh, some are saying. Some are
some are
saying.
saying I'm some.
He's he's saying.
Yes.
And then we move on to the highest point total of the weekend at 50.5. The Colts, the high-powered Colts offense, traveling to Los Angeles to face the Rams. The Rams are favored by 3.5. Give me the Colts. Give me Indiana Jones. Some of these
Whoa.
teams, just all right, like the Niners and Colts, the same thing. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Make me pick the opposite team. Make me think about this. They're undefeated for a reason. You are what your record says you are. Cliche, cliche, cliche. Give me the Colts.
I'm going Rams. I'm going Rams. As fun as it's been to ride with Indiana Jones, and I don't think he necessarily has a bad game this week. It's just very hard to out duel Matt Stafford in this Rams offense when they are firing on all cylinders. Whether or not they will be firing on all cylinders is a different discussion to have. But I think they have a fire burden under them after how it ended last week. That's why I'm going Rams, and Ryan is also going Rams here.
All right, all right. I like it. I like it. I'm riding with the Colts. This is
All
our
right.
Colts. Then we get into the
This is
425
our
matchup. Bears travel to Vegas. This was big earlier, like a few weeks ago when Monday Night Football was happening, and Tom Brady called the Bears game last week. Of course, he was, in the booth for the Raiders. So now is Brady telling secrets about Caleb Williams? Some are saying it's something to think about. I believe that narrative. Give me the Raiders.
No, I genuinely think like this is something that is like by the majority of NFL fans is getting glossed over. Like no NFL team should allow this guy in their building to do interviews before the games. This is ridiculous. You would not allow an owner of any other team to come in here and do that. But
That is-
it's crazy. It's not talked about enough. I'm going Bears, and of course Ryan is going Bears. But next to his prediction, he said Psy, so I don't think he is as confident
Dude,
in
like
that.
he
So
can't. He I think he's 0-3 picking the Bears this season because he didn't pick them last week, and then
no,
I'm 3-0 picking the Bears. So something to think about. I'm picking
as am
Raiders.
I. Yes.
Yeah. So
Ooh,
Ryan's on the
this
Bears.
is the breaking
So
factor.
ooh.
Ooh.
Also underrated subplot. Gino against the secondary. Like,
Oh God.
this is a Geno dream to just launch the ball against Dennis Allen.
Hey,
He
Dante
might have
Thornton,
400
right?
yards. He might have 400 yards.
Yeah.
And then we get into the big one. This is what the title is referenced on. Welcome to uncharted territory. The Ravens against the Chiefs, 1-2 versus 1-2. Someone is going to be in uncharted territory. Give me the Ravens. I think the Ravens figure it out.
Yes.
My matchup, I talked about Derrick Henry going off in this game. I think that does happen. I'm wish casting it, speaking it into existence. I'm taking Baltimore in this one.
As both are me and Ryan. I
Ooh.
think they finally figure it out. I mean, the Chiefs do get, some help in terms of offense with Xavier Worthy probably most likely coming back, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time for him to, establish himself back into this offense. And I think, the Ravens defense, as I said, finds their way to get back on track. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Then we get into Sunday Night Football. Packers traveling to Jerry's World in Arlington, Texas. Give me the give me the Packers by a lot. Okay, almost slipped up. Almost slipped up there. Give me the Packers by a lot. Come on. It's all Packers over here, man. I think
Hey,
this
go
I
back,
think
go.
this team is really good. And I think I'm just saying last week's a fluke. Last week's a fluke. It didn't even count, all right? There's nothing this Dallas team does similar to what that Browns team does. So I'm taking the Packers, and I'm taking them by a lot.
No, Ryan would absolutely agree. Ryan said Packers by a million, which hey, quite the
He's saying
turnaround from where
million a
he
lot.
once talked about the Packers. I know, right? But yes. Oh, come on now. I'm taking the Pack as well. Micah Parsons again. He's gonna have like a 4-sack game, and it's gonna be a good time.
4-sack game. Yeah, this is where like the narratives come in for like those awards. Like if he has a monster game at this point, like he's gonna take over those odds. Crazy. So if you think he's gonna have a big game, I'd bet him no.
Yeah.
Then we get into the Devils' work, double Monday Night Football games, and they're happening at the same time, folks. It's not like 2 weeks ago where one game was at 6 and another one was at 9 my time. No, they're an hour apart this time. Awesome. But this game is probably the one to skip. Jets traveling to Miami to face the Dolphins. Give me the Jets. Give me the Jets. I don't know the status on Fields. Let me look that up. You go.
Yeah.
I'll find Justin Fields' status.
Ryan agrees. He says Jets, but who cares? I quote, that is what he said. And I think we're all in agreement on that one. I'm gonna, I'm gonna zig while you guys are zagging. I'm gonna go the Dolphins. This is gonna be one of the only 2 games that me and Ryan pick different from one another, which is may not fare too well for myself here. But I am going Dolphins.
It says we haven't heard a ton of information. Of course, it's a Monday game, so we don't have any practice reports right now. I'm gonna flip. I'm flipping to the Dolphins. I'm flipping to the Dolphins because I don't know who's gonna play quarterback. I think Fields adds a dynamic element of just chaos factor that I want to root for.
Yes.
Where Tyrod Taylor is what he is. He gassed up those numbers last week in the 2-minute drill. So yeah, give me the Dolphins just because I guess I know what I'm getting, and they have the long break. The Thursday to Monday, that's
the little mini bye.
They got the mini buys, so mini buy believer. And then we get into Bengals traveling to the Broncos. Broncos favored by over a touchdown at 7.5. I'm gonna take the Broncos just because they're favored and they're the better defense, and Jake Browning against good defenses doesn't seem to be too good, huh? And they can't run the ball. They can't run the ball. Chase Brown is averaging 2 yards a carry, and he has the 4th most carries in football. It's crazy how bad
it's
he's
awful.
been. And that's indicative on their defense or offensive line.
No, yeah, no, it's bad. We are also going the Broncos as well. Quick like pivot here. Just side note, unrelated to anything that we have discussed. Speaking of like bad, uh, my lord, Ash and GT, dude, that offensive line is so bad.
They're
I saw a
terrible.
stat. I saw a stat that Ash and GT has 144 rushing yards on the season and 145 rushing yards after contact. So he is having more yards after contact than he does on the actual season because that offensive line is so bad.
That's so beast.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
um,
More offensive line stats for the Raiders. Gino's been sacked 12 times. DJ Glaze is like really bad. I watched Genty after
yes.
like week 2. He's really bad. They'll figure it out, but
Yeah.
holy moly. So that's all our picks for this weekend's games. Then we swing it over to Pigskin Payout.
Yeah. I have Ryan's really made me chuckle here. It'll
Did he do
make sense here in a
touchdowns again?
second. Yeah, he's always gonna do touchdown parlays.
Okay.
He did 4. He did Amarian Hampton, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, and my guess is that he misspelled this, and I could be wrong, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. That he meant to say Travis Etienne. That would bring the whole total up to plus 763. That being said, I could just be wrong, and he could have meant Trevor Etienne. He put Trevor Etienne in his notes that he had sent me. That alone, Trevor Etienne is plus 6,000 to score a touchdown in this game. So again, I am giving him the benefit of the doubt that he meant to pick Travis Etienne. But if he didn't, and Trevor Etienne scores a touchdown, you might be cooking with some fire here. That being said, let me pull up what I have here. I have a guy that we had already mentioned. You'd kind of stole the show a little bit earlier. I wanted to talk about it, but hey, that means we are on the same page here. I'm taking JSN over 80 yards. Seahawks money line. Amarian Hampton over 60 yards. And then the spread is so big, there's no way that I can't not pick it. I did an alt line for the Saints, and I have the Saints covering 17.5 just because the line is at like 15.5, and it's just freaking ridiculous. And we like football numbers around here. So we're doing Saints covering 17.5. Let's see if I am incorrect about that, but I just think that is a whole lot of points, regardless of if it's the Bills or not. So, and that brings mine up to plus 787 as well. $10 will win you $87 as your total payout. So,
Dude, I have no read.
Are
on
you
like
whipping
any
up
of
a-
these games? I have no read. I have one
are
thing I
you
like.
picking Trevor Etienne to possibly score an anytime touchdown score?
No.
Oh,
no, I'm not.
no. And
Do I
again,
need
for
to?
those who
I think
you might have to. For those who again are interested, I said it last week's podcast. If you're trying to get in early, again, not sponsored, but if you are trying to get in early on these lines, DraftKings does put them out much sooner than FanDuel. FanDuel kind of struggles getting these things out way ahead of time, whereas DraftKings
talking player props.
Yes, player props are out far sooner, and that's what I've been kind of using to do this as of recent weeks. So,
All right, yeah, we're gonna play it light. We're gonna play a 3-legger. Give me the Patriots spread against the Panthers, which is 5.5. Win by 6. I just think they're a much better team. I think they're gonna get healthy on defense. I think the Panthers, any game the Panthers play this year, I think they're gonna struggle to get to 20, And the Patriots, outside of 4 fumbles last week, would have gotten to that pretty easily. They've been pretty dynamic on offense, even with the, less talent. And then we get into the next part, afternoon slate. Niners money line and Derrick Henry. I talked about it, 80+ rush yards, which seems to be his total right now. Or no, his total is 80.5. I'll take just the straight 80. Because I said it. I think this is a game that he could take over. I think this is a game that they absolutely desire him to take over. And I don't think this is going to be like now we got to give Justice Hill touches because Henry's fumbling too much. No, they're going to double down. He's going to get 20 carries against a pretty bad overall rushing defense in Kansas City. So that is Pigskin Payout. That is all for the NFL preview week 4. So let's swing it on over to the college corner.
Yeah. Impossible challenge. Can we keep this segment under an hour? Well, let's see if we can try to do so.
We have to.
We have to. That being said, big news. Kind of the biggest news of the week is Mike Gundy finally getting fired at Oak State.
I had the other news. I had the other news is bigger.
Okay. Okay. I have Mike Gundy as kind of the big news. He has just been outright just bad the last couple of years. It was only a matter of time. I mean, there's some time to talk about head coaching replacements here.
Let's reminisce on
kind
Gundy.
Of one of the big names.
Can we reminisce on Gundy just for a minute?
Yes, take it away.
21 seasons at Oklahoma State, 18 bowl games. The only time he did not make, and this is including this year, the only 2 seasons he did not make a bowl was his first season and his last season, last year, in which they went 0-9 in the conference, by the way. 2011, remember the 2011 season? They went 12-1 that season. They beat Stanford in the Fiesta Bowl. They finished number 2 in the country. That was the season in which they, the BCS had Alabama and LSU play again. That was the field goal game, and then they played again, and then Bama killed LSU in that game. Oklahoma State was the team left out because they lost to Iowa State that season, but they finished 12-1. He went 12-2 and won the Fiesta Bowl in 21 when I believe they was that the season? No, 2023 was the season that they faced Texas. 2021 was the season they beat Baylor. Or they just lost to Baylor. Okay, I'm I'm getting it all in my head.
Together. Yeah.
I'm piecing it together. Yes. I have there's so much to talk about Gundy's coaching career. He is the man. I'm the man. I'm 40. Moment happened. But yeah, this seems like a guy that he did not change to the business side of college football. He gave back some money to this program to give NIL, and they lost to Tulsa on the field outright, money line bang. And yeah, I don't know what's next for Mike Gundy specifically. I don't know if he is going to coach again. I know there's a lot of buzz about put him behind a microphone and see what happens, which I think some people are. I think that could happen too.
That would be fun.
Yeah, you swing into Oklahoma State kind of coaching candidates, but I just wanted to reminisce on the Gundy career just for a second because you don't think about it, but the second longest tenured head coach in all of college football is Mike Gundy, behind only Kirk Ferentz. So pretty crazy that this ended.
He is Oklahoma State football. I mean, through and through. I mean, Oklahoma State football.
Ben, do you know the coach before Mike Gundy? He was there for 4 years.
Oh God, I don't.
Les Miles.
No kidding. Jeez, Les Miles is quite the fella himself, Les Miles. No, I mean, there's a whole bunch of names getting swirled around. The big one, I don't want to necessarily nip it in the butt because you never know. A lot of people are like, Summerall. Summerall's not leaving to go and coach Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
I think he's perfectly happy where he is and content until he can get one of those more, elite jobs. The big name, I would keep a name out for is the Texas State head coach.
That's my number one
GJ
guy.
Yeah,
Yes, dude.
GJ. He's fun, and he turned around that Texas State program. I think he would be a whole lot of fun. The other names that are kind of getting floated around out there, Ben Arbuckle. I would be shocked if he doesn't get a job somewhere else. But also, we haven't seen a whole lot of Ben Arbuckle. I mean, he was obviously the OC at Washington State. Now he takes the step up this year with John Mateer following him to Oklahoma. That's kind of been like the big one that people have been clamoring about. People, for some reason, Jim Knowles, that's another really big one. And then Texas A&M's offensive coordinator, Colin Klein, are really kind of the big names going around. But yeah, I think GJ is kind of the perfect guy for that job. I think he's perfect. But we don't know. We'll see how it goes. The other big piece of news about this week, and this is what I'm assuming you were referring to, was the John Mateer injury. He was at the point where he was going out, the Heisman frontrunner. Now he's going to miss. There's not really a timetable. I wish I could give you guys a timetable.
A month is what everyone's saying. Red River is in 3 weeks. So he finished the game against Auburn. I think he is going to play in that game. That is my assumption.
Shocked if he didn't.
Because they have Kent. I think they have a bye and then Kent State. So you could run Hawkins out there and just figure it out, and all behind the scenes be like, I don't think Mateer's gonna play, and then like game day, Mateer's playing.
Yeah, exactly. I would be shocked if he doesn't at least attempt to suit up in the Texas Red River rivalry. But now, hey, that leaves the door open for someone else to win the Heisman. Some are saying the Cuban Missile, Fernando Mendoza.
He is insane on the odds right now.
Oh, I absolutely bet he is. I mean, this dude is surgical, and that leads right into the kind of this next point. It's hard for me to not curse there. IU just whooped up on Illinois. There was a lot of concerns about like Illinois not really playing anyone, and do they have the pieces on the offenses? Me and Matt had talked about going into that Duke game. No, that offensive line, more than anything, is awful. That Illinois offensive line is garbage. IU was living in the backfield of that game. They couldn't get anything done. And then the Cuban Missile was the dude was surgical. He had a 90% completion rating. IU, man, was it really a fluke? Everyone was spending the entire offseason thinking about who's going to be the next IU. Who's going to be IU this year? And a lot of people said it was Illinois. Well, why can't IU be the IU? All right. They're on track. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. That's my touche. Vandy continues to roll. Matt's Vandy team. Matt is the Vandy guy here. They just roll on Georgia State.
Revenge
just
game.
Demolishing them. Yeah, revenge game, exactly. Beating them 70-21. I mean, the SEC, man, you better watch out. Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt, they're coming. And then Ole Miss just kills Tulane. A lot of people were like, oh, well, Ole Miss better watch out. Tulane's, a bit of a sleeping giant. They might win this game. No, it was not even a game. But that has a lot to do with Trinidad Chambliss. This dude is freaking fantastic. I mean, I think it's his job. Even when everyone in that room is healthy, I think it is his job to lose at this point because he has played so well in the snaps he has gotten. But with Tulane out, kind of our group of 5 summary that we have, it looks like right now Memphis is kind of leading the pack. Again, you got a very long season ahead of you. Again, I'd be remiss to not talk about my midshipmen in Navy. They're undefeated. We might, earlier on we had talked about the clash between Navy versus USF, but now it might come down to the clash of Navy versus Memphis. We will see, but don't rule out USF
Whoever
or
wins the
Tulane.
American is getting the spot. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yes, I think you would. I think you would be correct in saying so. But again, there's still a lot of football left. I mean, who knows? I mean, can Boise make a bounce back, and could we be talking about Boise being great and being taking whatever that final spot was? And really quickly, the last thing I have before kicking it off to you. This is the last time I really feel the need to talk about it. Syracuse beats Clemson in, I don't want to even call it a shock at this point, because is really anyone surprised by this? Because I am not. Again, I don't know how much there's worth talking about. At this point, we have said all that we could say and all that we could have wanted to say. Hopefully they, have a get right. They have a bye. They can figure stuff out going into the UNC game, but it is bleak for them. But and any other happenings in college football that I forgot that you want to touch on before we talk about these games?
Oklahoma's front against Auburn was destruction.
Yes.
How did you not talk about Texas Tech taking a stranglehold on the Big 12? They
yes.
And all anyone can talk about, including myself, is I'd rather see the Will Hammond Texas Tech offense than the Baron Morton Texas Tech offense. Texas Tech fans seem to be on Morton's side, which I get. Culture guy, been around forever, so I understand that.
Guy,
but
yeah.
I would much rather the Will Hammond stuff was so much more interesting, pushing the ball down the field, and then Michigan beating Nebraska in a game that that was must win for Nebraska. It was must win, and those tackles could not contain Jayshawn Barham, like just at all. Like he's an edge now. Didn't know that.
Yeah,
and,
he's an edge.
He was dominant in that game, and those and another thing, like on Raiola, like he's gotta speed up a little bit. Like I hate the slow drop back that he takes, because like I get he's scanning everything, but like he didn't really process the speed difference between like Michigan and Akron in a way that I thought he should.
Yeah.
He played fine when he had the time, but a lot of that pressure I felt was self-forced a little more than it needed to be. But yeah, I mean, a lot of bad weekend for me. All right, I picked Florida to go to the playoff. They got smoked. They're dead. I picked Clemson to go to the playoff and win the ACC. They're dead. Nebraska was one of my sleeper teams. They're dead. They needed to win this game. And then lastly,
Yes,
Utah got humbled on their home field against Texas Tech, a team that I was like, they're just gonna win 8 games. Like they're gonna win 11. They're gonna dominate this conference. So, yeah, crazy weekend of college football, but it gets even crazier this week because we have Week 5, and I'm gonna start with this game because I want to start with this game. Alabama travels to Georgia, late night, under the lights. I know number 6 Oregon is facing number 3 Penn State, and I know it's the whiteout. Alabama and Georgia have defined this decade of college football. Since the playoff era, these are the two teams that define the era. And so when these two teams clash, and you have a game like last year to go on, where it's this incredible start for Alabama. They're going to run all over Kirby Smart's defense, and then they get slow pace back. Carson Beck takes the lead somehow, and then Ryan Williams makes his name known right away. Has the incredible play along the right boundary and scores. This is just, it's the one thing Kirby can't do. And a lot of people can't do is beat Alabama. But dare I say, like, this is one of those games that I think there is a real chip on the shoulder for Kirby Smart because in Athens, they have the longest home winning streak in the entire country right now. Alabama is coming off, like, they have that embarrassment loss to Florida State, so they're definitely gettable on the ground specifically, and they've had some tune-up, and I'm calling Wisconsin a tune-up game into this one. But Georgia could really take a stranglehold on this conference. If you are telling me before October 1st hits, this team has a win on the road in Knoxville and has a home win against Alabama, this is probably not a 5 next to their name. It's probably a 1. Like, that resume, it's second to none, likely, if they are able to win this game. And for Alabama, like, Ty Simpson has been good the last few weeks, again, against lesser competition. I'm interested to see how the receiving talent goes against Georgia, because that was the one thing Tennessee really, really had against Georgia was, attacking these corners downfield. So I'm interested to see what that looks like, but this Georgia front could really get after Alabama. I think the offensive lines are they're shaky. They're both shaky. Who's less shaky? I would pick the team that's at home, favored by 3.5 to be the less shaky team. Kirby just wins in this spot.
No, I think you're correct. It was, again, an absolute battle last year. I mean, one of the best college football games I have ever watched. And again, I think Alabama's gettable this year, man. And I think this is finally the time that Kirby says, screw you, I'm going to beat you. Again, it's not Nick Saban anymore, so it doesn't have the same gumption that it would have had a couple of years ago. But I don't know. I would probably take Georgia to cover like a 6.5 spread even. I feel probably more confident than what any sane person should be about Georgia headed into this game. And maybe I'm just tainted by that week 1 loss. But I do feel very confident that Georgia gets the job done. I don't want to say handedly, but somewhat convincingly against Alabama this week.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated to see if Bama loses this game in a way that I agree with you. I think Georgia's the better team, and you're getting the home field advantage, and you like just everything, like the better quarterback. I think you get just stack these things. I think they could win by double digits. But it's going to be interesting to see if there's like no funny number next to the Crimson A after this game. I don't think it would happen if they lose to Georgia. I don't think it would happen because like Notre Dame is 1-2, and they're 22nd. So like people aren't going to take their national champion pick out of the top 25 just being beat writers. But it's interesting to think about, like, the last time this team was in the 20s was when they were preseason 24 coming off the 2007 season, Nick Saban's first year. So, like, that's the last time they were in the 20s. So, yeah, we're in uncharted territory again, to reference the title. Look at that. With Alabama. Then we go to State College playing at the same time, getting a true whiteout game against a Big Ten foe, the Oregon Ducks. Yeah, I mean, again, every time I say some of these like realignment things out loud, I hate it. But yeah, you get a big time spot for Penn State to really introduce this game to the country. Last year they did it at noon against Ohio State. That was pretty funny. They didn't score an offensive touchdown in that game. They had multiple opportunities too in the red zone. Now they face Oregon, and Big game James. Here he comes. Here he comes, guys. In a top 10 matchup, in a game he should absolutely win, against one of the most coordinated and thoughtful coaches in Lanning. I have
Mhm.
no surprise when Lanning is going to have his guys geared up and ready to go, and I'm so excited, so excited to see Decorian Moore go up against AJ Harris, because I think you can make a case like that's probably two of the top 5 players at each position in the entire sport. AJ Harris has been thrown at like one
Mhm.
time in so far, and again, Penn State hasn't faced anybody, and I would have Oregon ranked higher than Penn State just because of like it's a being linear with like who you have faced, who you have scheduled. Like Oregon is scheduled Oregon State and scheduled Oklahoma State. Too bad, those both suck. They killed them both. So
Yeah.
like they did their job. Where Penn State is like, all right, let's do Villanova again. But this comes down to like let's do the quarterback game. Uh, Dante Moore's been so much better than Drew Aller this year.
So much better.
And so, again, it comes down to, like, who's the better player in these circumstances. Dante Moore is definitely facing a much more uphill battle than
Mhm.
Penn State's Drew Aller being on the road. But what do you have on this game?
No, I mean you said the big things to me. The big things going to this game is James Franklin not being able to ever win these types of games, and then the quarterback battle. I mean, there was so much hype going into the season about Drew Allard and what we can expect from him, um, and he's only played bad competition, and to be frank, has looked awful. Has looked very bad against bad competition. So I'm really excited to see what he looks like against a true power forward defense, defense that is going to be very good. And for me, I think it just comes down to, can Penn State establish the run? I mean, that's what the offense has been through. If they can get the run game established and going, I think Penn State has a chance. Again, they have the whiteout going in their favor for this game. But if they can't establish the run and this entire game is put on the back of Drew Aller, I am not feeling confident about that at all. And at the end of the day, I'm taking the better head coach and quarterback pairing, and I'm taking Oregon to win here.
Yeah, I'm taking Penn State, and
Oh,
because I'm gonna take the like they have to win spot. I think they
yeah.
ran the ball really well against a better Oregon front last year with how many guys I loved along their front. Harmon,
Mm-hmm.
Birch, Uiagalelei is still there. They ran for over 270 against this team last year in the Big Ten title game. So I have
Mm-hmm.
like no real like issue with the run game. I think the run game is going to be fine.
No, it's
Uh,
great.
I
Yeah.
just I just have that issue of like Aller getting antsy because I think if this game is 7 points in the fourth quarter, I think they could win by 21. They could lose by 3. Like he is that sporadic at times. We're gonna find out. I'm taking Penn State. I'm also alt spreading Georgia by a touchdown and Penn State by a touchdown parlay. I
Mm.
think that's like plus 500. So I took that today, just because I think these home teams in these spots could really like. I think Penn State and Georgia could really run over these teams, and I wouldn't be surprised too much. Let's continue
Wow.
on, and let's get into. I think this is at 2:30. Number 4 LSU travels to 13th ranked Ole Miss. LSU is still trying to find the offense. They found it kind of last week against known powerhouse, Southeast Louisiana. So scored 56 points, and Ole Miss quietly building pretty decent resume just by. I mean, if Arkansas beats Memphis, it's even better. But they've beaten, you know, Kentucky, Arkansas, 2 Power 4 teams in their conference already, and Tulane. They shattered Tulane, as you talked about. Now they get a big time spot against LSU at home. The last time they were in this spot against Heisman Jaden Daniels, they won this game in a massive, massive shootout. So the 55.5 looks interesting. Trinidad Chambliss already is announced to be the starter. Lane Kiffin did not seem happy on Pat McAfee's show that information was already out there. Witty Weeks is taking Instagram pictures with Lane Kiffin's daughter in game week. What are we doing? Like, is there turmoil? Is there like a house divided situation? I don't know, but just speaking what I saw, and that's a plot line now. This is a big, like, again, I could keep saying it, but it could really take a stranglehold on, the conference for Ole Miss again. Like I said with Georgia, if you beat LSU, you're already 3-0 in the conference, and you look at like what they have upcoming. They still have a South Carolina and Florida State at home and Mississippi State to end the season. They have two very big tests at Georgia and at main rival Oklahoma. So they still have some big time games coming across the bow. So if you can get this one, it puts you in a good spot to make the college football playoff. But then what do you see from this game?
No, absolutely. I mean, you covered the one the one thing that I wanted to talk about in this game was what Weeks just
I'm
taking
sorry, you should have
photos
stopped me. You should have been like, hey.
No, you're fine. with Lane Kiffin's daughter, which I think again the mind games that has to play a toll on. The star linebacker from your opposing team is now posting photos with your daughter. I guess your daughter's posting photos with the star linebacker of the other team.
Yeah.
And I mean, Lane Kiffin had quite the response. Each 3 words: take the over. I'm like, okay. We'll see. I don't know if I feel confident in that because LSU has a very good defense and their offense has not been able to get anything going. So I would push back a little bit on Lane Kiffin saying take the over. But again, the question, or the major question, continues to be with this LSU offense: can they get the ground game going? And again, if they can, we have to start really be worrying, because that's the one big question mark that we've seen with LSU through the first 4 weeks of the season. At the end of the day, I'm taking the defense that I like more and a quarterback that I like more, and that's no shot at Chambliss. As I said, he's been a treat to watch. But I'm going to take LSU just because I like that defense led by Whit Weeks. So LSU.
Yeah, I'm also going to take LSU here. If we remember, this game ended last year. LSU didn't lead for a single second outside of the final play to Kyron Lacey. So shout out. That awesome game. Rest in peace to him. But this game always delivers.
Yes.
So I'm gonna take some alt spreads where it's like plus like 3.5. I think this game is a field goal game, but I do believe LSU. It's the team I feel more certain on than Ole Miss at this point, and maybe that comes back to really, really bite me, which I wouldn't be surprised by with how I've gone so far with college football. Let's get into the final of this 4-pack, and then we can kind of get in some notable games to talk about. Ohio State travels from Columbus to Seattle, Washington, to face the Huskies in Husky Stadium. I mentioned Georgia having the longest active home winning streak. Washington actually has the second highest, so that is something to keep in mind. Tacario Davis, their stud outside corner for Washington, is still up in the air. Don't know if he's going to play. He didn't play last week, so against Washington State in the Apple Cup. So we'll see how that one kind of transitions, because he is the exact body type you want to throw at Jeremiah Smith, even with I believe Brysock has been pretty good this year. But for Ohio State, this is the first time Julian Sayin is like going on the road. Like this is confirmed going on the road for the first time in his college career. I'm excited to see how he handles that because I think Ohio State could just out depth and out talent Washington, but takes 2 throws against this defense to really like get get anxious because that dude at quarterback, you talk about him. So I don't want to steal your thunder again.
Oh my god! Thank you. Well, first off, I am so enthralled that this is one of the games that you put on here because this was one of the games I did and I didn't know because it was another ranked matchup. That's besides the point.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I the connection between Damon Williams and Denzel Boston has been off the charts. Very, very good. I can't say off the charts, 250 yards for Denzel Boston, but one of the better connections in all of college football between a quarterback and a wide receiver. But Damon Williams is that guy, and I think he has the juice that it takes to beat a team like Ohio State. So long, this is kind of the theme of the show for me today. So long that they can get some action within the run game. If you can keep this Ohio State defense guessing a little bit, I think you're going to be in a good spot. I mean, Jonah Coleman is one of the better running backs right now in college football. And if you can keep him going and, again, keep that defense guessing, I think you're in a good spot because when Damon Williams is asked to deliver, I think he can get the job done. It's just a matter of if they can hang in there defensively to make this a game. And again, that big matchup was Takario Davis. And that's, as you said, the perfect guy that you would want to throw at him. And we don't know if he's going to play. But I think this could be a huge, huge, huge statement game for Washington if they can get the job done. I might even take Washington to cover. There's still some questions for me about this team. I'm not fully sold on Ohio State, and it's crazy because they're the number 1 ranked team in the country. But again, I think this is just going to be an absolute battle. And flat out, I think Damon Williams is the better quarterback playing in this game. So,
yeah, I wanna look it up. I think he's a sophomore. I don't know if he's true sophomore or redshirt sophomore.
Redshirt sophomore, I'm pretty sure.
He's a junior. Caden
Okay.
McDonald on Ohio State's defensive line. He's incredible.
Yes.
He is so good. Like I was watching him the other day, and I was like, "Whoa, that guy is sick." I was watching the Texas Ohio State game again, but yeah, no, I agree with all your points. Like I think the top end talent for Washington is there. It's just the competitive depth that challenges these upsets because Ohio State just has guys on guys on guys, especially a receiver, where Washington is very limited. Like, I think Coleman is a dude and Boston is a dude, and, you know, the corners I'm interested to see because Washington is one of the higher pressure rate teams without blitzing this season. They've barely played anybody. So we're going to find out together if they can get pressure on the quarterback. This is also one of the places that you just, like, I feel like goes unnoticed that, like, there is so much energy in that stadium. Like, the Oregon game from a few years ago, incredible, unbelievable energy. And it was at this time, I believe. I believe it was the 2:30 game. So, like, those people are going to be up for it. So I'm pumped for this one. This is such a great CBS game, you know, at the perfect time slot. So, but let's get into the other notables of the week. Do you have any you want to really hit on in depth before we get into kind of spraying the board?
No, the other two, and this is kind of the middle ground between in depth and spraying the board here, is the other ranked matchup that got left out. That's number 21 ranked USC going in to Illinois, who's now dropped all the way down to 23. Can Illinois bounce back from, again, that absolute butt kicking that had happened here in Bloomington a week ago, and show like, hey, that's not the team we are. We're much closer to the 9th ranked team in the country than we are to the 23rd ranked team in the country. And it was an off day. Luke Altmaier wasn't able to get stuff going. He's fine. Everything will be okay. And I'm just interested to, again, see if they're going to be playing closer to the 23 team and the 9 team. Because I still have no clue. Because before the Indiana game, as we had said, they didn't really play anyone that made you excited. And this is going to be another one of those, tough ranked matchups to really test to see if this team can make that push to the playoffs that so many people were saying going into the season. Is there anything you wanted to say about that game?
Jacoby Lane isn't going to play. Wayman Jordan, their running back for USC, is awesome. USC is essentially playing a 9 a.m. football game because they're traveling from the West Coast. I love this USC offense. Shocker, I love the offense. It's so much fun. Mekhi Lemon is running all around without Jacoby Lane on the field. I think USC puts up points in this game. That's my one kind of takeaway. I think Illinois is leaning. I think they're the leaning tower of Pisa, and they're going to fall.
Yes, I agree. And then the other one, I mean, how can I not? Indiana, 11th ranked Indiana, going to play Iowa in some true Big Ten football. And the big thing is can the Indiana offense continue to be as efficient as what they are against what will be a much tougher defense that you were playing compared to Illinois? Again, I think Indiana pulls the game out. I mean, how could I not? But again, it's going to be the toughest defense that they've played thus far because just like I said with Illinois, Indiana really didn't play anyone before that game. So we'll see if this hype about Fernando Mendoza or not is true when you're actually playing up against a good Iowa defense. So that's the other kind of big game that I wanted to talk about. I don't know if you have thoughts on that either.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't make like a cliche and like this is an Indiana trap game. Kurt Cignetti don't play no trap games, all right?
No,
the guy is what 15-2 in 2 seasons at Indiana, and the 2 losses came against the 2 teams who played for the national championship last year. Like, come on, Kurt Cignetti don't play no trap games, and I don't think Iowa's any different. Number one, I want to start with Friday night. All right, double header.
Wow.
Florida State, Virginia, and TCU, Arizona State. We finally get to learn more about Florida State and if they are a top 10 team in the country, or did they just beat Alabama, who is an 8-win team this year? I don't know. I want to figure it out. The line is 6.5, so like Vegas is kind of telling us like we're not going to lose too much money on Virginia. Virginia can sling it around the yard. It's at home in Charlottesville. This was a game before the season that it was like if they lost to Bama and Florida State's still unranked, this was a game that kind of a lot of Florida State people were pointing at like that's the game to look at if Norvell still has the team. So I'm interested. Norvell obviously still has the team, but do they still have the season? Do they? Because this is playoff or bust at this point. When you beat Alabama, you're officially at that point. So I'm interested to see how this game goes. And then TCU and Arizona State. I think these are still 2 of the top 5 teams in the Big 12. Obviously, I'm kind of tearing it off. Like, I think Texas Tech is obviously 1 right now, but these 2 teams are definitely in that next tier. Hoover can sling it around the yard. Leavitt hasn't played that great this year, but we still know what Sam Leavitt is. Still a very, very competent college quarterback. And then Jordan Tyson, top 15 pick upcoming next season. There's going to be points in that one in Tempe. And then we get into, you mentioned USC, Illinois. Notre Dame travels to Arkansas at 11 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Interested to see how that one goes. I remember like before the Ole Miss game, Taylor Green was the most underrated quarterback in all of college football. Now he's lost 2 straight games, and I don't think anyone wants to talk about him anymore. But Arkansas at home at this time slot, this is not a fun game for Notre Dame. No margin for error. We know about Notre Dame's season already having the 2 losses. So again, any game that has Notre Dame in it this like the rest of the season, I'm just going to keep an eye on because like Notre Dame getting out is one added spot. One more loss for Notre Dame that just adds another spot. Duke travels to Syracuse. Syracuse lost their quarterback, Steve Angeli, for the season to a torn Achilles. LSU transfer Ricky Collins is going to start the rest of the season. Just wanted to make light of that. The 2:30 slot, Auburn travels to A&M. This is another game where it's Hugh Freeze, hot seat, all these things. If they lost to Oklahoma, you're now traveling to a rested A&M team who is a top 10 team in the country. Could this be a game where Hugh Freeze kind of loses the team, loses the crowd? Arnold doesn't play well. Arnold didn't play well in the Oklahoma game. So, again, not a fun place to go. Kyle Field is not fun except for Texas. UCLA plays Northwestern at 2:30. You don't have to watch this. I'm just making light. This is a game in the Big Ten Conference. It's still happening. These are two of the most miserable programs in the country.
Yes.
So we'll see how that one fares out. I'm literally just scrolling through the score bug.
I got a couple for you here too. The Battle of I-25. For those who are unfamiliar, that's New Mexico versus New Mexico State, a rivalry there.
Okay. Yeah.
Also known as the rivalry of Rio Grande. It's just a fun little in-season rivalry between two in-state competitions. 15-ranked Tennessee versus Mississippi State. Shoot, did anyone expect Mississippi State to be as good? I mean, they're not a great team, but did anyone expect them to be as good as what they have been thus far? And then kind of the last one that I would like to bring to everyone's attention for me is Kentucky at South Carolina. Is South Carolina that ranked team that we talked about, or are they as booty as what they've looked over the last 2 weeks, like me and Matt have been trying to tell people all offseason? Anyways.
Yeah. Arizona travels to Ames, Iowa. Iowa State, again, another one of those teams in that kind of tier of the Big 12. Arizona has yet to play anyone with real, substance yet, if you're calling Kansas State out of conference, by the way, any substance. But that one's going on later at night. And then obviously, you're not going to be watching too many 6:30 games with Oregon, Penn State, and Alabama, Georgia. But App State, Boise State, fun game. Fun, like you mentioned Boise State across our G5 talking points. Boise State's still I think in this enough that if they can just dominate the conference, go 10-2 because they're going to lose to Notre Dame in a week's time, something to think about. What was it? They had a crazy stat line from a running back last week, and people were like, they spawned another Genty. I gotta find it now. Yeah, Dylan
Yes.
Riley last week against Air Force, 19 carries, 170 yards, 4 touchdowns. So they spawned another Genty. He also had a receiving touchdown of 75 yards. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, they spawned another Genty, and Dylan Riley. Didn't know much about him. And then lastly, there's only one game. One game past 10 o'clock Eastern time. BYU traveling to Boulder, Colorado at Folsom Field. Who's starting at quarterback for Dion? Nobody knows. Could be anybody. BYU continues to be just a wagon. They dominated East Carolina last week. They're, again, another one of those teams that I would include in that tier break of the Big 12, so I'm just fascinated to see. And then, obviously, you just want to watch what Dion's going to do with this team. So, yeah, that is the notable games. I kind of just rattled off some interesting games that I think I'm going to keep my eye on and maybe bet some money on. So, yeah, but that is all for College Corner, unless you have anything to add here at the end, Ben.
Yeah, hey, Sean Moore coming back from Michigan. We'll see if that changes anything. But no, another great week of college football again. Now we're ramping up into conference play. We're going to start seeing a lot more of these ranked in-conference matchups. This is kind of the meat and bones of the college football season, and very, very exciting stuff here. So.
Yes. Love to hear it. That is all for the show. Ben, do you want to take us out of here?
Yes, we'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors, Regional Radio Sports, Uppercuts Grooming, and Spotify for podcasters. We will see you guys on Monday for the recap videos. If you guys have not watched that, go and watch that. That comes out every Monday morning where we cover the entire slate of Sunday NFL football. But thank you, and we will see you guys next week.